Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the Momentum Shift is what you've been looking for. The Momentum Shift.
In a world where shifts can either hold you back or propel you forward, we're here to explore the art and science of harnessing momentum. I'm your host, Eric Collier, and together we'll dive deep into the story, strategy, and mindset of today's guest, who has mastered the art of riding the wave of change. Now let's get this shift started.
The Momentum Shift.
I'm Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, as well as a veteran of the United States military. And I want to welcome you to our show today, as well as welcome our guest, Ms. Trish Martinelli. Trish, how you doing?
Oh, Eric, I couldn't be gladder to be with you here today. And when you say mayor of motivation, I can definitely attest 100%.
I'm excited to have you on here. I see you doing a lot, but I want to ask you the first question is simply this. How would you define momentum shift? Because that's what we're looking for here. The definition of momentum shift, everybody sees it differently, I believe, but let's see what you think.
Well, I would put it in just a couple quick words. Where you are is not where you end.
I like that. That's it, right? That's it. Where you are is not where you end. And I can imagine. Now, talk to me a little bit, explain to everybody who Trish Martinelli is, and we'll go into some of the different obstacles you may have encountered or how you help people overcome obstacles.
Well, if I had to put a bumper sticker on my myself, I would say I'm a difference maker, and I always try to make that difference for good. Yes. So I love connecting people that can help each other out. You know, you and I have collaborated on some projects. Yes. I love being able to be a trusted advisor to people when they're, kind of working through tricky problems or, making really big decisions. And I just like being a difference maker for good. So, just being able to listen to understand with people and to offer expertise where it's welcome. That's great.
Got you. What are some of the things? So you say you help them through tricky situations. So that's a great example of a momentum shift. Sometimes things aren't always what they seem, right? That's what my mom used to tell me.
Right.
So what are some of the things that you see people challenged with or facing when you're helping them through those tricky situations?
Well, I mean, where I kind of make my living right now is in the innovation space. So when people are I define innovation this way: creating something new that provides value yet carries risk.
Okay.
And that third thing is really the differentiator between entrepreneurs and innovators versus people who are doing process improvement. There's no risk to doing something faster, right. But there's a risk to doing something completely new. Like, when you think of the concept of Airbnb when it first started. Hey, Eric, just give me the couch in your living room. I'm going to give you someone that's going to give you money to sleep on it. That sounded absolutely bonkers, 15 years ago. And now it's so commonplace that you can even travel on official government orders and stay in an Airbnb.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then not everybody's open to new things. And that can be some reason why we get stuck into that momentum shifting area, right? Or that area where we're
right.
I like to. I was thinking about it the other day, and imagine jumping into a swamp and swimming with gators, right?
Oof.
Think about that, right? How do you swim in a swamp without getting eaten by gators? And that's what we sometimes face. Those difficulties are sometimes those gators that we face, and we get stuck out there, and sometimes they swallow us up. Have you ever
Yep.
found yourself swimming with gators?
Oh, sure. I sure have. And if I could go back and talk to myself just a little while ago, like when I got into that, lake with the gators, um, you know, there was a point in time in my mind where I thought I could convince the gators to go counter to their nature.
Right.
Like if I just showed the gators how impolite it was to take a bite out of people that are swimming in their pond, then surely once they realize that it's not polite to do that, they would change.
Right.
And we can look at that in a lot of different situations in life. Like the great Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Right.
So there are places where you can make a difference,
Right.
and there are places where that difference is welcome. And then you have to use your wisdom and intuition to know when you are in a place where those changes are not welcome.
Got you.
And just like get going.
That's
Like
your
just
shoulders off,
brush it
huh?
off. And, yeah, brush it off and walk on.
Yeah.
It's almost every situation where you're kind of surrounded by people or an environment, and people talk a lot these days about toxic cultures.
Right.
Um, you know, listen, you don't marry the first person you date. You don't, commit to a life of eating the first food you ever tasted.
Right.
Not every place is the place for you. So just keep it all in perspective and look at your long-term, arc
Right.
before you decide whether you're going to like dig in to a place where you're not welcome.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into the room with that perspective, realized that it was time to go, but you decided, no, I'm gonna stick it out, and eventually they're gonna come around?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is and I had this really, really great executive coach. You and I both know him actually.
Yeah.
Who told me once, everybody just wants to love and be loved. It doesn't change when you get to work.
Right.
Everybody wants that Cheers experience. Walking in the door, oh hey Sam, or whatever the guy's name was on Cheers.
I hope you are enjoying our interview with Trish Martinelli. She is definitely a game changer when it comes to collaboration, innovation, and creating opportunities to shift momentum in her industry. I'd like to ask that you go to Apple Podcasts after the show. Leave us a rating, write us a review. It's going to help us improve the show for later on. Now, back to today's interview.
There are times where you just have to understand human nature.
Yeah.
And you as a person, you want to love the people around you. I mean, even if it's just a friendship love, and you want people to respect and love you in return. But if you're not there, you're not there.
Right. Right.
And that's that thing. There's a difference between being smart, and
Okay.
that's knowing things,
Yeah.
and there's intelligence of like knowing things and knowing how they apply. And then there's that third layer of wisdom. And the wisdom comes when you know when and where to apply the intelligence.
I like that. Okay.
So just because you know things does not mean that you can share what you know with those around you.
Not everybody's
If
ready.
it's not the if it's not the right place, if it's not the right time, um, you know, you are not a wise person if you continue to try to push a lesson or a learning onto people who are not ready to receive.
Yeah. Yeah. I know one of the things you experience when you start changing your life, when you start doing those things differently, the habits
Yep.
and behaviors come different. You start speaking
Yep.
different. You start doing different. People who have always been around you and seen you as that person who was
Yep.
not the person that you're trying to become, they don't buy in at all, do they?
Yeah, they start to get uncomfortable because the understanding that you have with the people in your life is the understanding that you want to keep.
Yeah.
You know, it's like working out. You and I spent a lot of time in the gym.
Yeah.
And by the way, anybody who's listening, Eric always beat me into the gym. He was always there first. But we would see each other in the gym in the early, early mornings. The sun was never up when we were in the gym. We were there early, early. You know, when you start to make changes in your fitness, people who want to sit around and drink and eat with you are like, why are you saying no to that, you know, third glass of wine? Oh, you have to get up and go to the gym in the morning. Ew, la ti da. Those aren't your people.
Yeah.
In that season of your life, those aren't your people. And they don't have to leave your life, but they have to leave what you're concentrating on in your life.
Yeah. You just mentioned something there about associations. My mom always told me, she said, Eric, if you're hanging around 9 of the broke people, I guarantee you who number 10 is going to be. And vice versa. If
Yeah.
you're hanging around successful people, 9 successful people, number 10 could be you, right? And so associations play key. I always talk about, you have that moment where you want to change things, but you start dialing your dream back because other people don't see it for themselves. They don't want to see it for you either. Have you
Yeah.
ever experienced that moment with somebody you loved or somebody who you looked up to?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I sure have. And you know, like all of the success in your life is an inside job.
Yeah,
It's like the inside job, you know, the work that you're doing in the six most important inches on your body, that space between your ears,
right.
that's where it all starts and that's where it all stops.
Yeah.
Um, you know, yeah,
I didn't mean to
I
take you
cannot.
down a bad memory lane. I was just wanted
No,
to,
no,
because I'm really
no. I
curious
mean,
as to
Eric,
how you moved forward from that. You talk about the work you did on yourself. What kind of work did you do on yourself, and what kind of habits and behaviors did you start incorporating
yep.
to shift that momentum for yourself?
Well, this is the realness, right? Like, if you don't have what you need, who does and where is it?
Okay.
And you talk about a momentum shift. You can be where you are and stay.
Yeah.
And if it's not where you want to be, you own it.
Gotcha.
Okay? If you are not where you want to be, get to the people who know how to get you there. I just mentioned that I worked with an executive coach. One of the best things I ever did.
Yeah.
You know, I still work with coaches in a lot of different ways. And my life has changed when I started one simple thing that everybody can do, doesn't cost you any money. Every morning when you're brushing your teeth, set your intention.
Okay.
I write it down on my phone.
Okay. I like
And
it.
then when I meet with my coach, I hold myself accountable to tell them these were my intentions and this is how I met it or how I didn't.
Right.
This is how I feel about it and this is what I'm going to do differently.
Yeah. How long did it take you to decide that a coach is the way to go? Because I've experienced that just meeting you and being introduced to the coach. I
Yeah.
Man, it changed my life significantly. I actually told the coach I would have never come to you if I'd have known that you were a therapist or you had any of this relationship
Right.
with psychology. I would have never visited you, but it's changed my life significantly, right? So
Yep.
how did you finally come to the point where, hey, I'm gonna push my ego aside and go, here we go. This is me.
Um, you know, maybe actually I was a little bit weird because it wasn't like, oh, I know better. I don't need a coach.
Okay.
It was kind of like I was working really hard and I was doing okay, but I wasn't breaking through.
Okay.
And then I found out, oh, wait, there are people who work as coaches and their whole job and the skills that they have are to help people like me take what they have and break through to next level.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you took, you know, a group of five of the best 18-year-old basketball players you've ever seen,
Yeah.
and you put those five people out on a court as a team with a basketball and a hoop, and that was it. No coach,
Oh my gosh.
no plays,
Right.
no plan.
Yeah.
No experience of how to, get those last 3 points that you need in 4 seconds or less. Like, I mean, imagine what life would be like in what we watch all the time without a coach.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of any sports, you've got a coach,
Right.
and you've got talented players that come and go, and good franchises always have that rock, right? They always have that coach.
They do.
So for me, like when you see an example, like an amazing basketball team, an amazing football team, the Atlanta Braves, if you're me and you're a diehard Braves fan, you would never imagine a world in which a group of people were successful without a coach, without someone who knows more, who can get the best out of them. Now, is that coach able to step in on the basketball court and actually play the game?
Yeah.
Probably not.
In the journey of life, every step matters, but sometimes the path is lined with challenges we can't face alone. Introducing Tabano Consulting Group, your partners in creating a brighter future for our youth. We've collaborated with dedicated educators, counselors, and therapists to provide a guiding hand to high school and middle school students. Through mentoring and social and emotional support, we empower them with the tools and skills to conquer mental barriers and pave the way for success. Because every young mind deserves to live a life of meaning, value, and purpose. Tabano Consulting Group, achieving success one student at a time.
Or maybe those days have passed for them, but they
Right.
know how to get the best out of the people. They know how to help them break through some practices or the ways they would approach a problem.
Yes.
And they bring out the best of what's already in there. They don't change them. They just bring out the best of what's there.
Right. And you brought up some interesting points. We see coaches, people are willing to have coaches in some cases, sports, singing, and well, I guess you can name it anywhere else, but
Yeah.
it comes to the thoughts of the mind and working through their problems.
Yeah.
And because I know there have been many occasions uh I've been saying, hey, look, we need to go see a therapist. I'm like, no, I don't
Yep.
need to go see a therapist. I don't need to see a coach. I'll figure this out. Right.
Right.
And it's a lot easier when you sit down and you tell somebody, say, look,
Yeah.
I'm swimming with these gators and I don't know how to tame them. I can't get rid of them. They're always going to be there, but
Yeah.
I can't tame them. I can't get them I can't swim with the gators without being eaten. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about this, okay, so again, going back to that basic principle, we all want to love and be loved.
yes.
So, and I think you can change that phrase of we all want to be loved to we all want to be admired,
Okay.
right? Like we want to be admired for being a good person, for being, good at our craft, our skill, for bringing the best out in others. If any person listening to this right now thinks about who they admire,
Yeah.
who they would, like, stand in a line to get in the front row to watch whatever, whether it's a sport or a performance or even a teacher.
Right.
All of these people have had great teachers and coaches and influences that allow them to be in that place where you can absorb what they do and it satisfies something in your soul.
Right.
So find your teacher,
There we go.
find your coach,
Yeah.
find your breakthrough artist and
Yeah.
just go break through it. Yeah.
So now, I've read your bio. You're right. You're right. I read a little bit on your bio, and you've gone from military to contracting to defense. Where are you now, and how has the mind had to change? Because you talked about it. The mind creates a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven,
Right.
and you've moved
Right.
up. You've moved up. You've shifted the game, right? And you're now
Yeah.
working with executives, your leadership. I mean, you're doing some great things. I mean, talk to us about what you're doing now and how you've had
Right.
to adjust the mindset when you deal with executives and leaderships and creating
Sure.
opportunities for others.
Wow. There's a lot there. So I have been really, really privileged to do some great stuff. So just like super short background, I was in the Army for 21 years. I got out of the Army and worked in the military intelligence life both as a federal employee and as a contract supporting federal missions. And I still do that, but now I do it in the innovation space.
And can I just mention
So,
something? Can I just mention something? Air assault. Come on, man. You're bad. You're
yes,
bad.
yes, I can get on a rope and fall out of the side of a helicopter with the best of them. That I love that. Oh my gosh, that was that it's air assault school was one of my fondest memories, and we can talk more about that, about my
Gotcha.
just how much fun that was. But yeah, I got to do some really great stuff in the military, things that people who know me now as a grandmother and just Trish in the office next door, they're like, wow, what you did, what you went where. But fun stuff. So now I'm in the innovation space attached to the Department of Defense, which is a great opportunity and a great challenge, because every day I am working with leaders and asking them to think differently about new things that will change the way that they work.
Okay.
And people think, oh, okay, great, this must mean artificial intelligence and it must mean technology. No. When I talk about one of the things that I'm proudest of in innovation was being part of teams that redesigned the Department of Defense policy on pregnancy and promotion.
Mm.
And
Yeah, because that's
out
something
of
you're
the
big on as well, equality, right? Inclusion.
yes,
Yes.
yes, and being a woman that was in the military in the 80s and 90s, I don't have to tell any stories. Many stories are out there. But it really resonated to me that women were not allowed to walk side by side with their male colleagues in uniform when it came to childbearing.
Mm.
If a man was having a child in his mid 30s, people at work never even had to know about it. If
Right.
a woman in uniform was having children in her mid 30s, like her whole career changed.
Mm.
So, one of the things that we did in terms of innovation, in terms of policy, was we really did a journey map and we looked at what are the places where we're losing women in their military careers. How can we stop that leaky pipeline? We
Right.
put together 7 recommendations for the DoD, 6 were adopted, and now we have a longitudinal study that looks at the dollar value that we saved by changing policies and keeping women in uniform.
Right. Yeah, because nobody
To me,
thinks.
that's amazing innovation.
Yeah, because when you talk about innovation, you're usually thinking about technology, IT stuff.
Right.
I would have never thought about that.
Right. Well, and if you'll allow me to kind of do just 90 seconds of my soapbox on innovation.
No problem.
So innovation is a core warfighting skill.
Okay.
And for anybody who's old enough to have watched the show MASH on TV, do you remember Klinger?
I'm raising my hand.
He was the example of defense innovation.
Okay.
He dressed weird. He acted a fool. And when somebody had a problem, he always found a way by, with, and through to get it fixed.
Yes.
That is defense innovation. But a lot of that has been kind of weeded out of the Defense Department now, because as we move up in rank, we develop risk mitigation, right? But again, go back to what innovation is: something new that creates value and carries risk.
Right.
So if innovation is a core warfighting skill, and the Secretary of Defense says that it is, we need innovation everywhere.
Yes.
So when you look at your staff, if you look at your J1, your personnel processes, you need innovation there. You need some changes. You need to do new stuff that might be a little risky.
Yes.
You need it in intelligence. I mean, intelligence gathering now is different than it has been at any time of our life. You need it in operations. You need it in logistics. You need it in the cyber domain. You need it in, facilities. Like, as the Department of Defense, we shouldn't build facilities anymore that are not environmentally sound.
Okay.
So I think the time has come for a Department of Defense innovation doctrine, a new Napoleonic staff called the J10 that will help get in and help people who are very well trained in their left and right limits innovate outside of them for effect. So yeah, super excited about that.
I love it. I love the energy behind it. I think that's great. You have to have, I think that's another reason why things don't change for many, is they don't have a vision for the future. Right. And I think that's seen in your eyes. You wake up every morning and you set the intent and you have something that you're focused on, and you're helping people and you're moving forward every day. I love that. I love that. So have you, you mentioned earlier where you are now is not where you're
Yep.
going to end up. Did you
Yep.
see yourself in the field or in the arena that you're in now, operating like you do? You speak on stages, the TEDx, the different conferences, and what are you saying to your audience when you're standing up there? And what do you actually? Let's say you get up there and you look out there and you go, "I'm here." Any of the imposter syndrome ever kept creep in?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And who hasn't seen someone who 10 years ago said something on Twitter that, 10 years in the future, people look back at them and go, wow, yeah, that's kind of questionable and shady.
I hope you are enjoying our interview with Trish Martinelli. She is definitely a game changer when it comes to collaboration, innovation, and creating opportunities to shift momentum in her industry. I'd like to ask that you go to Apple Podcasts after the show. Leave us a rating, write us a review. It's going to help us improve the show for later on. Now, back to today's interview.
But this is what I know is that the people who have touched my heart and my mind have always spoken with authenticity.
Okay.
And so, especially with my TEDx talk, when I was talking about how anxiety can impede your ability to accomplish your mission, I made that very personal. That was very much from my, book of experience. And I have never delivered that talk, and I've delivered it probably 12 times now. I have never delivered that talk where someone didn't stop me right there on site with tears in their eyes, talking about how much it meant to them and how much they related.
Right.
And it's not because they went through a situation that's exactly the same as mine, but it's because we are in a different time right now.
Yeah.
Where we can acknowledge that mental health is health, period.
Yeah.
And if 2020 gave us any gifts, remote work would be one of them. But if it gave us another gift, it would be that, it's normal now
Yeah.
to talk about how you feel and how you think,
Yeah.
and how that is impacting the quality of your life. I mean, anymore after 2020, if you meet someone who's like, yeah, I've never been anxious in my life, I don't see what the big deal is. You'd be like, okay, there's something not real about you.
Yeah.
Which is a complete flip from maybe 10 years ago, where if you met someone who said, yeah, I have anxiety and it interferes with the way that I work, you'd be like, oh God, get away from me. It might be contagious.
Right. Right.
So,
Or it's not real. You just suck it up.
yeah. Oh, you're just a snowflake. And back when it was hard kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I see people going through this with their kids.
Yeah.
Especially their kids as they get older.
Right.
So it's natural for kids, when they get out of the house and they get on their own 2 feet, maybe to look back on the way that they were raised and to have some questions about it.
Yeah.
And maybe, if you've got a deep and meaningful relationship with your kids of that age, for them to say, Mom, when you spanked me, that traumatized me.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you can be like, oh, that was a trauma. You should have gotten a spanking from your grandma. She
Right.
really knew how to throw down a spanking.
Right.
But I read a book Oprah Winfrey wrote called What Happened to You? And the right response when someone says you were part of something that traumatized me is, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's big.
Thank you for allowing me to apologize. And I'm sorry. Now, when you're done with that, you can go in your own private world and be like, that spanking wasn't that hard. She shouldn't be traumatized. You can process that differently on your own. But, the right response to someone who's traumatized by your action is sorry.
Yeah.
And if it resonates and it's a deep feel and it's something that you can really accept, changed behavior is the way to prove it.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that can create a momentum shift for them, right? Addressing that trauma.
Right. Well, I mean, I just, Eric, you know my heart. You've known me for, a decade now. Um, I, I'll start by saying people who are just listening to the sound of our voice, I'm not a Black woman,
Right.
but the Black experience has always really just had a hold of my heart and my thinking. And I am so grateful now that across the country and across the world, we're looking at the Black experience in a way that we owed to the Black community 150, 170 years ago.
Right.
So, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure where that came from.
No,
Maybe just
no,
talking about
that's
trauma and
okay.
being able to express yourself.
Yeah. No, but there's a connection there for you,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, you can touch on that. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it in person,
Yeah, I
right?
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, your son, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I have I have a foster son who is 30 years old this year,
Yeah. All right.
and he's a Black man.
Yeah.
And it is it's interesting, and sometimes interesting in a good way or a bad, that people feel at liberty to talk to me, assuming that the only lens that I have is as the woman that they see in front of them, which
Right.
they, see as a white woman. I'm actually Latina. Um, but, well, I can say something about Black people because Trish is one of us, or, not one of them.
Right.
And, sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah. I think so. You touched on something as a mother. You mentioned it, a mother, a grandmother. You're doing
Mhm.
things now, and you've shifted momentum in your life. You've gone through many different challenges and hurdles, and you've overcome them. And you're bad. You're overcome. I mean, I love the way you do things, the tactfulness, the way you address people, the challenges, and I love it. You're not afraid to speak up, and you've done these things, but in your life, what is that example that you're wanting to leave with your children, so even though they're adults, what is that example that you want them to see?
Wow. Um, to put it really simply, to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Mm, okay.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Um, and getting back to those three layers of learning, intelligence and wisdom,
Mhm.
having the wisdom to honor your instincts.
Okay.
So if something scares you, sit with that
Mhm.
and say, does the success of me doing this and succeeding scare me? Or maybe, if I try this, that I won't succeed. Is that what's scaring me? Or is, an intuition or, um, something inside of you saying, this is not good and this is not right for me?
Yeah.
Those are two different kinds of fears. And, especially as a woman in a predominantly male environment around the Defense Department, I'm always a little hesitant to say, hey, my intuition says no, because
Right.
intuition is so squishy and it's so female and it's so not needed in the DoD world.
Right.
But here's what I have learned: my intuition is really good, and I often uh, kick myself for not honoring my intuition earlier. And then I did some thinking about that and some unpacking. Intuition is things that save your life. So, for example, if I'm Bambi and I'm out in the forest and I hear a twig break in a way that's not normal, I don't stand around and examine it and look for evidence and,
Yeah.
apply logic. I just get the heck out of there,
Yeah.
because that's a deep intuition. And what intuition is the subconscious recognition of a pattern before you can bring it to your conscious mind. So let me say that again. It's data analysis based on things that you have experienced or things that have been passed on to you that you can't pull to your conscious mind just yet.
Right.
And that's why I and many other people look back and go, why didn't I just listen to my intuition? I
Yeah.
should have followed my intuition. Look, the facts proved it out.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we don't have that right relationship with intuition, where it's data analysis that happens deep in your mind before you can bring it to your conscious mind.
Right.
So, if anything for momentum shift, I would love to see people give themselves more permission to lean into their intuition
Yeah.
and to really look back and honor the times that your intuition was steering you right or wrong
Yeah.
and what was coming up before that go or no go decision.
And I think that that's along the lines of Malcolm Gladwell's book Blink, right?
Oh, love that book. You know I love that. I love that book. Yes.
Yeah, because we don't trust ourselves, right? I don't know. I said, who am I to be making that decision? All right, who am I to make that move? But you have what it takes. You just got to operate in it sometimes. And I love that.
Yeah.
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 So talk to me about the shift that you made from Intel community to now being the leader of the Department of Defense for small businesses, if I said that right.
Well, I'm not the leader. I work for an
Okay.
amazing director
All right.
there, but I am one of the senior leads for industry engagement.
Okay.
So I'm out there looking for small businesses, looking for ways to let them know about programs so that they can do business with the Defense Department. And I am ruthless in finding the places where there's a block, and I will get that out of the way.
Okay.
Small business is where it's at.
Yeah.
It's more than 90% of the businesses that are in the United States, and it's where people own their business. God, it sounds really overly simple. But I mean, what is better in the United States than building a business and seeing it succeed?
Yeah.
That's a cornerstone of the American dream, and I'm here for it. I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think you do a good job with it as well. I mean, it's to be able to. So, what do you see a lot of people in DoD who come to you and go, Trish, I want to start a small business, but I don't know if I have what it takes. I want to start a whole business, but I don't know I have the time to do it. And my family time, all these other things. What
Yeah,
all the gators that are swimming around with them. Did they
sure.
come to you? You experience that? What do you tell them?
Well, I see it more in my role as the executive director of the Defense Entrepreneurs Forum, and now I am the executive director emerita as of
Okay.
April. So,
And
that has
that's
been
what
my
it is again.
role.
Merita is what?
Uh, the present or the past, everyone who has held a position, like all the secretaries of state are still secretaries of state, but they're not current, they're emerita. It's
Gotcha.
kind of a term from academia. But anyway, I used to be the executive director is the simplest way to put it. But
Okay.
then, if you throw emerita on there, it's fancy.
I like
Um,
it.
so that was the place where people would say, I've got this great idea. I think I can do this. Should I start a business? And yeah, so those are great conversations to get into. Sometimes, yes, you should start a business,
Yeah.
but it has to be something that you're passionate about, something that doesn't let you sleep.
Yeah.
If it doesn't leave your mind, if it doesn't let you sleep, if it won't leave you alone, if you feel like it's hunting you down, then yes, please, yes, immediately start a business. But just like with everything, it takes time. It takes your attention, and it's going to take some money and some resources, whether it's you or outside investors.
I'd like to ask that you go to Apple Podcasts after the show. Leave us a rating, write us a review. It's going to help us improve the show for later on. Now, back to today's interview.
No one should ever go into that with some kind of Hollywood version of, I'm just going to hang a sign in a window of a store and people are just going to come in and throw money at me.
Right.
No, that's not how it works. But I am really lucky to be part of the Defense Entrepreneurs Forum and surrounding communities that really help people understand how to do it, surround them with energy and information, and go out and do it. So, yes, I am a big fan of starting new businesses, starting new endeavors, and really spending a lot of time in product market fit, which we could do a whole nother podcast on. So
Oh, wow. Trish, I'm loving this conversation. We haven't seen each other in a while. I would love to
I
pop it
know.
up a little bit more and just tap into your knowledge and experience of what you got going on and what you're doing. Because I like I said, I enjoy watching you move. Like I said, I've seen you in the environment we worked in when we first met.
Yeah.
I see you now, and the smiles, the happiness,
Yep.
the shift that you made. Because we know at one point it's like, what is
Yeah.
wrong here?
Oh, yes. And see, I mean, I think that's what we should probably like share without getting too much into the details. But Eric has seen me on the ropes.
Yeah.
Like Eric has seen me down there with the, ref giving me the counts, like if I, like, oh shoot, she's at 7, she's not getting up. I don't know what's gonna happen.
These days. Yeah.
But here we are on the other side. Yeah, that you and I have walked through some similar fires, and we've seen each other like on our best days and our worst days. So I love the fact that walking through some of those fires led me to the friendship that we have now.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes you stronger. The bond is there because, like I said, we're rooting for each other, and your
Absolutely.
ability to just keep pushing. That's what I say all the time. Just keep pushing because this too will pass. This
Yep.
is a bad moment in time. If you just keep fighting, you get up and keep swinging. Eventually, you'll change the game. And Trish, you definitely changed the game. I enjoy watching, like I said, watching the path that you're on. I can't wait to see what else you got coming on down the line. Speaking of which, what do you have coming up?
Well, I've got some great events coming up with the Office of Small Business Programs. Really excited as well. In October, the Defense Entrepreneurs Forum is holding their annual conference. I will be there in the front row and be talking to a lot of emerging entrepreneurs and small business owners, and looking for some great new stuff in the areas that I'm really passionate about in culture facilitation and bringing design thinking out of the corporate setting and into the Department of Defense. So stay tuned for more winning stories there.
All right. Last couple of things, and I will let you get on your way to the granddaughter's birthday party. So what would you like to leave the audience with today when it comes to shifting momentum and why it's so important?
Wow. I feel like we've talked about so many great things.
Yeah, I know, right? Drop some
I feel like we've talked about so many great things. The one lesson that I will say has really made a big change is you have to prioritize yourself. If you're in an airplane and those masks fall, you have to put yours on first before you help others.
Yes.
And I know in this society, the wires get crossed a little bit where we talk about, selfless service and others before self. Just remember that no one can drink from an empty vessel. So find the things that refresh you, renew you, and reward you.
Yeah.
And protect them. Bring them into you as essential elements.
Got you.
You wouldn't expect to live if you stopped eating and drinking.
Right.
If you want to thrive, you have to find those things that renew you and reward you and protect them, because it gives you more capacity to do those things for others. So that would be the one thing is like, if you're feeling tapped out, and I know a lot of people do, because people who have greatness within them, the first thing they will do is apply that greatness to others.
Yeah.
Without, kind of reserving that care and that nurture for themselves. So strike a balance and understand that you need to take care of your mind. You need to take care of your body. You need to be well rested. Stop giving up your sleep for an extra hour of TV. Stop that. Stop it. You got to be well rested to make it all work. So find those things, refresh and renew so that you'll have more to give.
I like that. Thank you. That's big right there. That's big because sometimes you don't take care of yourself. You're doing all these other things for everybody else, and you forget about the number one person. The number one person that's in your
True.
pocket. So,
Yep.
where can we connect with you? Where can the audience connect with you if they want to? Is it safe?
The best way to
Unfortunately
find me,
classified.
yeah, the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of the heartbeat of what I do. You can find me on LinkedIn at Trish Martinelli. Pretty easy to find, and it actually even says in my handle, the difference maker.
Gotcha.
So that would be a great place to find me, and I would love to hear from the Momentum Shift listeners. And I have to say, before we take a break, if you just listen to this podcast for the first time and you're not following Eric Collier, shame on you, and get to it. And really, if you want to hear a difference, Eric says it all the time. I just keep pushing. And I know some of the things that you've pushed through and the things that you've gone through. And man, I'm telling you, when this guy talks, he's speaking from experience. There are many points in your life I know that you could have just been like lights out.
Yeah.
Never has been, never will be.
There you go. I love it. Thank you, Trish. That's big. Thank you. And we got to get together for the moth. Don't forget. But hey, that's it.
Absolutely.
That's it for our show today. Man, I want to thank you for taking time out and joining us.
Always my pleasure.
I always love talking to you and hearing the mindset, and you've always encouraged me, and I want to thank you for that as well. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for The Momentum Shift, a show where we get inspired, get moving, and get results. Now, get up every day, set your intentions, and make something happen. Take care.
In the journey of life, every step matters. But sometimes the path is lined with challenges we can't face alone. Introducing Tabano Consulting Group, your partners in creating a brighter future for our youth. We've collaborated with dedicated educators, counselors, and therapists to provide a guiding hand to high school and middle school students. Through mentoring and social and emotional support, we empower them with the tools and skills to conquer mental barriers and pave the way for success. Because every young mind deserves to live a life of meaning, value, and purpose. Tabano Consulting Group, achieving success one student at a time.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.